Hello everyone, welcome to Kelly's Art Throb. I'm Kelly, and today I'm going to paint these loose watercolor florals, and I'm going to be using the Graf Viarco Tailor Shape Water Soluble Pigments, and I'm going to be using Hahnemuhle Postcards, and to contrast with that I'm also using the Arches 140 pound cold press paper, and then I'm going to reverse color them. So let's get started. But first I want to highlight another artist on YouTube. His name is Stephen Inks, and he recently had a drawing for one of his drawings on Postcards, and I won it, and he sent it to me, and I'm going to share it with you. Stephen does reviews of fountain pens and fountain pen ink from the perspective of an artist, and in February he gave himself a little challenge: one pen, one ink. Anyway, at the end of the month he ran a drawing. I won it, he sent it to me, and I want to share it with you because I love Stephen's channel. I've taken his advice on the very pen he used for February, which was the Pilot Kakuno Extra Fine fountain pen, and I love it. I use it a lot. So if you're interested in fountain pens for the use in your artwork, go give his channel a look. And this little challenge that he did inspired me to try some watercolor postcards. So when I was at my sort of monthly trip to Blick downtown, I found these postcards. They're Hahnemuhle, 105 pounds. They come in this cute little tin. You get 30 of them. They're pulp paper, and they're really nice. I just think they would be a lot of fun to, if you wanted to send something to somebody really quick or do a little drawing like this. Anyway, I thought I would give them a try. And I also am going to try these Viarco Art Graf Tailor Shape Pressed Pigments. I got all three sets. I got the monochromatic, which has black, graphite, and white, and I got the primary set, but I really was interested in the monochromatic to do monochromatic studies and value studies, and the black looks like it would be really interesting for backgrounds. I wasn't sure about the graphite. It just came with the set. I already have some graphite, but hey, why not try it? And the white is really opaque, and I thought that might be really interesting to take if I wanted to do plein air, because I haven't had a lot of luck with dried gouache. I mean, some people do. I haven't. I thought this looked interesting. But today I'm primarily going to be using, I'm only going to be using the primary set. It reminds me of printer ink. It reminds me of the CMYK color scheme that the ink blends together to make just about any color. And here you have the blue, yellow, and magenta, which is like the CMYK of your printer ink. And these are pigments, they're not inks. And the company uses a blue will scale to differentiate to specify the light fastness. And they're all either an 8 or a 7, including the earth colors, which I wasn't as interested in, but I had Amazon points, and you know how it is when you have Amazon points and you don't want to miss out, so I got all three sets. There's also a green one, but I don't think you need it. An individual green one. I didn't get that. I don't think I'll need it. You can mix greens with the primary set, and I think the earth color set might also work. But today I'm just going to use the primary set, and I'm going to show you something that didn't work out very well. You guys know that I like to do a lot of line and wash, but I almost always do it on cotton paper. But you know how it is, I want to try all the papers and I thought I would just try a little line and wash on this, but maybe it's the difference in the sizing or the fact that it isn't cotton, but you'll see here how the ink bleeds into the pigment. And generally, my waterproof inks don't do that. So I think it's the paper. So I scrapped this idea and I went with the loose florals to try it out. Doing a loose watercolor type sketch with these enabled me to see how it moved in the water and how it layered and how vibrant it was, and to get a really good idea of how it behaves without investing a lot of time in a big project. Plus, this is really beginner friendly. You guys can do this. If you're interested in getting your feet wet with watercolor and you don't necessarily want to spend the big bucks, this little set was $30, and I have to say, I enjoyed using it. I did this mostly in real time. I think there might be one little section here that I sped up 2 or 2.5 times. So this will give you an idea how long it took to do this. It was really quick. I'm all bundled up here because it was really chilly, and it's that in-between chilly. It's not really cold, but it's not warm. And so we kept the air at the furnace kind of low, and that's why I'm all bundled up. Kansas City is really weird in the springtime, and you have really warm days and really cold days and a lot of in between. Now normally I really like March because on the warm days you can go out and really enjoy being outside, and there aren't any bugs and it's not humid. It's very pleasant, and on days like that, I really like to go outside, any place where they have a coffee shop where they have outdoor seating. But you never know what the weather's going to do. So my friend Marion and I are going to have coffee this Friday, and we're going to go to the Family Tree Nursery. They have a coffee shop there. And at first I thought it was kind of lame because it's more like a coffee bar or a coffee stand. And I wasn't very impressed. But I got my coffee because I was checking it out for us to see what we thought. And actually the seating is in the greenhouse. So the coffee stand is in the front, and then it kind of makes you take your coffee and go wander around, which is really pleasant. And I love to go there and just get inspiration. And anyway, here in a second, I'm going to move to Arch's cold press paper so you can see the difference. One thing I'll say about this paper, the Hahnemuhle paper, because it's not cotton, the paper and the sizing, I don't know, it just sort of sits on top. So the splatter method didn't work very well. So then I had to just kind of mix it together as a background. But it turned out well. I mean, I like it. It doesn't work the same way as cotton cold press paper. So now I'm going to do another little painting on Arch's cold press for you. In the meantime, back to the coffee shop. It's really kind of a cool place to go because you can wander around and get inspiration for your garden. Although I have to say, much to the dismay of my neighbors, I am not good at gardening. I would say I have black thumbs. I kill everything except maybe the wild violets that grow in our yard. So I'm anyway, I still like to go and wander around. I think it's really uplifting, and it's like being outside even though you're not outside. And so it doesn't matter whether it's cold or snowing or whatever the weather's doing, because it can do that in the spring here in Kansas City. We've been known to get snowstorms. But anyway, Marion, hi, I'll see you Friday. And yeah, we're going to go and just enjoy coffee there and relax. And so you guys might want to check and see if your nurseries have a coffee shop wherever you are, because that's kind of a cool coffee shop trip. Okay, so going back to the postcards, right here I'm still working on the arches, cold press paper. And I think that the pigment is much darker on the arches than it was on the Hahnemuhle, the pulp paper, which surprised me because I've always heard that with pulp paper it's more vibrant and darker. I don't use a lot of pulp paper, so that kind of surprised me. I was surprised about that. But overall, I think doing something casual like this is wonderful on these postcards. And I dried it, and now you can kind of compare. Do you see how much the Hahnemuhle is on top and the arches on the bottom? And it seems to me that what I did on the arches was a lot more dark, and what's on the Hahnemuhle is, I guess, a little more watercolor in the rain looking. They're both beautiful, but that was my experience using those two different papers. Of course, the advantage of using the postcards is that they have everything ready for you, so that if you want to address them to somebody, all of that is on the back for you. But if you wanted to, you could use arches and do that yourself. I don't suppose it has to be printed, but it's a nice convenience. So since I didn't do the line and wash, I decided to do that whole reverse coloring trend where you do the wash or the background and then you do the inking over it, sort of that whole reverse coloring book trend, except I did my own on these little postcards. And I'm glad that I did, because sometimes if you try to ink over some paints, it doesn't work very well. But I used my Peter pen here and I used my platinum carbon ink, and it worked just fine over these. And I like the way it looks. It's just cute, casual, but you can see how the colors, I mixed that green right there on the paper, on both papers. So even though it doesn't have a palette, I didn't find that was even a problem. So I kind of like that. I think these might be really great for plein air or taking with you, because 3 colors is it. And if you can mix your colors right there on the paper, cool beans, right? So I'm using my Peter pen for this. It has a fine nib, but it's a Western fine, so it's kind of a broader tip than your usual fine nibs, which for this application I really like it, because Arches paper is very textured. And I just want to say I am the worst when it comes to maintaining my fountain pens. I think the ink has, and this is platinum carbon ink, it's a pigment ink. It's not like a regular ink. And it's been in this pen for a good 3, maybe 6 months. I'm really bad about it, about leaving my ink in the pens, because I don't change ink. Anyway, it did skip a little at first. Obviously it would, because all of that got dried up in there in the nib. But I just put the nib under the sink and under the faucet and rinsed it off and then dried it off. And it's like I just inked it fresh. So if you're interested in that kind of a thing, I highly recommend this pen. You might check Gold Spot Pens. I'll leave a link in the description. But I like this pen for inking on textured watercolor paper, especially if you want the lines to really be a big part of the drawing or a big part of the painting. Anyway, that's about all I have to say. I liked using the paper. I liked using I really enjoyed those Viarco Art Graf Tailor shape pressed pigments. That's a mouthful, you guys. But yeah, I think I'm definitely going to use these for more projects. I could see myself taking these to the coffee shop out at Family Tree Nursery and grabbing a plant that I would like to sketch and putting it on the table and being able to do that with these. I don't know if I might attempt to record something like that. I have been a little hesitant to try and record plein air, but it also really amazes me as to what does well on YouTube doesn't do well on Facebook or Instagram or vice versa. I never know. So let me know what you guys would like to see, and I'll happily do some of it for you. In the meantime, I hope you guys are doing well and doing a lot of wonderful creative things on your own. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take it easy. Bye.